Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we are strapping in for something pretty specific, but I think really relevant if you're in academia, academic structure.
Definitely. If you've ever felt a bit lost with research paper rules, this should help.
Exactly. We're digging into the standardized research requirements from Tribhuvan University, TU, in Nepal. We've got some great source material detailing their formats.
Yeah, these sources lay it out quite clearly. It's like a map for anyone in the TU system, or really any academic setting, with different kinds of research outputs.
So we're unpacking three main types today.
That's right, the research article, the research paper, and the more formal research report. Three distinct things.
Okay, so the goal here is to help you, our listener, quickly tell these apart. Know what you're dealing with, whether it's a quick journal piece or a big project report.
But before we get into the differences in length and structure,
Yeah.
there's one rule that applies across the board. It's fundamental.
Ah, the common thread. Let's hear it.
It's the citation standard. This is the absolute baseline for TU. Doesn't matter if it's 5 pages or 60 pages.
Okay.
You must use APA 7th edition, strictly, for all your in-text citations and, crucially, that final references list. Get APA 7th wrong, and, well, it undermines the whole thing.
That makes sense. It standardizes how research talks to other research, right? A common language.
Exactly. It ensures a certain level of rigor.
Okay, so with APA 7th as our foundation, let's start with the shortest format, the quick one, the research article.
Right, the sprint, as you called it. The research article is very focused, designed for impact in a small space.
Our sources say it's basically a short paper focused on results, written mainly for academic journals, like TU's own Journal of Education and Research or similar peer-reviewed places.
And the audience is key here. Other researchers, other academics.
Which dictates that length constraint you mentioned.
Precisely. Because it's for journals, it has to be concise. We're talking just 5 to 10 pages. That's it.
Wow, 5 to 10 pages. That's not much room.
Not at all. It forces you to be analytical, get straight to the point. You have to be, ruthless with your words. No fluff allowed.
Okay, so if you've only got 5-10 pages, what does TU say the structure needs to look like inside?
Well, the basics first. Times New Roman, size 12 font, 1.5 line spacing. Pretty standard stuff.
Standard, okay.
But the abstract, that little summary at the start that's tightly controlled, only 150 to 250 words.
That's tiny.
It is. And you have to hit 5 specific things in that abstract. Background, purpose, method, key findings, and then list 4 to 6 keywords.
So no room for storytelling there. It's like the absolute quickest pitch of your entire study. Hit those 5 points, boom.
Exactly. Get the reader hooked, show them what's important immediately.
And the main body.
It moves fast. Required sections are objectives, a literature review section, methodology, results for findings, discussion, and finally the conclusion. It's very direct.
Methodology, results, interpretation, conclusion. Like you said, fast and focused. Now, one thing I noticed in the source material for the article, some things are listed as optional, like acknowledgments, author contributions, conflict of interest statements. Doesn't that seem a bit loose?
That's a really interesting point. But think about the purpose again. Where's this article headed?
To an external journal, usually.
Right. And those journals, they have their own specific, often very strict submission rules. So TU is basically saying, look, we mandate the core research structure in APA.
The journal will handle its own admin requirements.
Pretty much. If the journal needs that conflict of interest form, the author has to provide it for the journal. TU trusts the peer review process to cover those extra bits.
Okay, that makes sense. It's a flexible template ready for the journal system. So that's the sprint. What about the middle distance, the research paper?
Right, the research paper. Here, things expand quite a bit. We're looking at typically 10 to 20 pages now, so maybe double the length.
Double the length. And a different purpose, too, right? Not journal publication this time.
Exactly, the purpose shifts. This is more for master's level coursework. Think MED, MA, MBS, that sort of thing. Or it could be for presenting at conferences or seminars.
So this feels more like proving you can do the research work at a graduate level rather than just reporting results quickly.
I think that's a good way to put it. The sources even say its structure is kind of like the first 3 chapters of a full thesis, just condensed.
Ah, okay, so it's a bridge toward the thesis. What specific things get added structurally that tell us we're not looking at an article anymore?
Well, the abstract gets a bit longer, 200 to 300 words, but the big change is in the required framing.
Framing.
Yeah. Unlike the article, the research paper must have a dedicated problem statement section. You can't just state objectives. You need to clearly define the gap your research is trying to fill.
Okay, so that's a higher bar. You have to articulate why the research is needed.
Precisely. It's about justifying the work intellectually and linked to that.
Let me guess. Research questions.
You got it. The paper requires clearly stated research questions, or alternatively, hypotheses. This shows you're not just exploring broadly, you're testing or investigating specific ideas.
That definitely signals graduate-level thinking. What about the theory behind it all?
Also mandatory here, the research paper introduces the need for a theoretical or conceptual framework.
Right, connecting your study to the bigger academic conversation.
Exactly. You have to show how your work fits into or maybe challenges established theories. It's what makes it scholarship, not just a report. This is a key step up from the article.
So the university is really drawing the line here. For graduate work, this theoretical grounding isn't optional.
Nope. And that rigor carries straight into the methodology section, too. It's much more detailed than in the article.
How so?
It requires specific subsections. You have to detail the research design, the population and sample, the tools and instruments you use, the exact data collection procedure, and your data analysis methods.
Wow, okay. Complete blueprint of the how.
Leaves no ambiguity about how the research was actually done, which makes sense if it's being graded for a master's course, right?
Yeah.
They need to see your process.
Makes total sense. You're assessing the student's research skills. Now, I also saw something about signatures. It's different here.
Yeah, it's interesting. The supervisor's signature is listed as sometimes required for the research paper.
Sometimes.
Depends on the context. Often needed if it's like a final paper for a specific course, a sort of mini capstone. It's like transitional approval. Not always mandatory, like we'll see next, but sometimes needed.
Okay, interesting. A stepping stone in administrative terms, too. All right, let's move on to the marathon then. The big one. The research report.
The research report, yeah. This is the most formal, institutionally heavy document of the three.
And the purpose here is quite specific, isn't it?
Very. It's defined as a formal document written for partial fulfillment of a degree, usually undergrad degrees like BE, BSW, BA, BBA, or sometimes MBA programs. And critically, it almost always involves fieldwork or some kind of applied project work.
And the length reflects that formality and scope, right? We're jumping way up.
Way up. From 10, 20 pages for the paper, we're now talking 40 to 60 pages for the report.
40 to 60. Okay, so this is clearly not about just getting findings out quickly. It's about comprehensive documentation.
That's the key. It's documenting a substantial piece of work, often practical work, for degree completion. And because of that official purpose,
The institutional requirements ramp up.
they ramp up significantly. Especially in the preliminary pages, the stuff before Chapter 1, this section is loaded with formal requirements.
Okay, what are these extra hurdles you have to clear for the report that weren't there before?
Two big ones are mandatory. An approval page. This means official sign-off, saying the work meets the university standard. And a recommendation letter, usually from your supervisor.
So formal gatekeeping. You need explicit institutional blessing.
Absolutely. Plus, other required front matter includes a declaration page, acknowledgments, the abstract, of course, and importantly, detailed lists of tables and figures and a list of abbreviations. It's a whole formal package.
It sounds like navigating the university's administrative side is almost as important as the research itself here.
It's definitely part of the process. You're submitting proof for your degree, and the main structure reflects this depth. It follows a standard 5-chapter model.
Like a mini thesis structure.
Sort of, yeah. But still within that 40, 60-page range.
Yep.
It's comprehensive, but not quite a full dissertation.
Okay, walk us through those 5 chapters quickly. How do they build on the paper?
Sure. Chapter 1 is the introduction. It covers a background, defines the problem, states objectives, significance, and also limitations, kind of bundles the framing elements.
Oh.
Chapter 2 is the literature review, and it needs to cover both theoretical perspectives and empirical studies systematically. Chapter 3 is methodology again, detailed. Design, sample, data sources, tools, the works.
Standard enough so far. Where does the extra length come in?
A lot of it is in Chapter 4. This chapter is dedicated entirely to data analysis and interpretation. Because this report often stems from fieldwork, you'll usually see lots of tables, graphs, figures here, followed by in-depth analysis of that data. Much more space than in the paper.
Right, you need the space to really unpack the findings from the field.
Exactly. And finally, Chapter 5 provides the summary, draws conclusions, and offers recommendations.
Ah. Recommendations. That points back to the practical, applied nature, doesn't it? Suggesting actions based on the project.
It often does. And administratively, circling back to signatures.
Mandatory for the report.
Mandatory. Supervisor's signature is required. And you also need comprehensive appendices. You have to include things like the actual questionnaire you used, maybe excerpts from field notes, official letters related to the project. Evidence, basically.
Proof of work. Verifiable evidence for the degree. Got it.
It really is the full package, documenting the entire process and outcome for institutional validation.
Okay, that was a really clear breakdown of three quite different beasts. Let's try and synthesize this for the listener. A quick cheat sheet based on those key differences.
Yeah, we can boil it down to maybe three things: length, purpose, and that key institutional sign-off.
Okay, so length. We've got the short 5-10 pages for the research article.
Then the medium, 10-20 pages for the research paper.
And the long 40-60 pages for the research report. Easy enough.
Then purpose. Article is for journal publication, getting it out there.
Paper is for academic coursework, or maybe conferences, internal or semi-internal use.
And the report is specifically for fieldwork or project submission to fulfill degree requirements, the formal endpoint.
Right. And the big administrative difference, the clearest dividing line.
The approval page, only the longest one, the research report, absolutely requires that formal approval page. That tells you it's the official document for degree validation.
Perfect summary.
Yeah.
But through all that difference,
The constant factor remains. We have to say it again. APA 7th edition. Mandatory for references and citations in all three. No exceptions.
that consistency is key. It ensures that no matter the scale, the scholarly documentation meets a single high standard at TU.
Absolutely.
Well, that really clarifies the roadmap TU provides for research. It definitely wraps up our deep dive into these specific formats.
But before we sign off, maybe one final thought for you to consider. We saw the research paper demands that problem statement and conceptual framework, right? While the article is more direct objectives and results.
Right, different emphasis.
So here's the question. How might knowing your end goal publication versus coursework versus getting your degree, how might that fundamentally shape your approach to the research itself, even like your ethical considerations or methodological rigor right from the beginning? Does the format requirement change how you even start thinking about the problem?
That's a great question. Does the container shape the content even before you begin? Something to definitely ponder as you plan your next research project.